Hello, it's 420 somewhere, and today we're going to dive into the metaverse again and then see how well things are doing in Oregon. So we had done a story a couple weeks back, I think, or maybe 3 weeks back, about a psychedelic company buying some plot land in the metaverse for a crap load of money, and they're potentially at some point planning some psychedelic therapy happening within the metaverse, which again, to me, I consistently will say that sounds like a horrible idea. But now there are some marijuana companies that are getting into the business, and one specific marijuana company is Creso, I'm probably pronouncing this incorrectly, but Creso Pharma. They bought a plot of land right next to Snoop Dogg, actually, Snoop Dogg pretty famously has a whole lot of land in the sandbox, and he's almost kind of creating a bit of a gravitational pull towards him, and the land around him is becoming more expensive because of him being there. It's wild stuff. And Creso Pharma they just bought their own plot of land right next to him. They're gonna call this little plot of land where they're gonna put their own facility, they're gonna call it Cresoverse, because verse is going to be a part of pretty much everything in the metaverse. It's the very popular term that will probably grow out of fashion very quickly. So right now what they plan to do with this plot of land is a little bit vague, although of course they're going to build a facility there, and the idea is they're going to showcase its products and build a social space for customers and its shareholders. So again, there's not really saying much there, but I guess you can just hang out with other people who are smoking pot in the metaverse. They're planning on doing more things afterwards, but it's unclear as to what those things are now, and it's all going to open up this month, sometime this month. They made a little trailer for it, actually. Here's a clip from that. We'll see what happens with that. We'll see if it becomes very popular for people to just hang out in that facility. They seem very excited that they live next to Snoop Dogg now, and we'll see where that comes. In other news of the sandbox, it seems that it's going to continue growing in popularity because it got there early, and it's projected that it's going to be worth how much? $280 billion by 2025, the sandbox. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, so second story is today is an anniversary for Oregon, where they had decriminalized every drug in the state, a year ago today. And we're now going to check in and see how that went and if anything has changed since. And so basically it's hard to kind of pinpoint exactly what this measure 110 it's called, what that has done specifically or directly, but we can see that a lot more money has gone towards harm reduction services, and a lot more money is going towards recovery services, and a lot more people are getting help, and that's pretty cool. In particular, the state Oregon wasn't doing very well when it came to allocating money towards harm reduction services before. However, now that they have made sure that cannabis tax revenue was going to go towards this, $31 million has now been collected to go to harm reduction services. That's pretty great. A much bigger number is that $302 million will be paid out to create what is called a behavioral health resource network, and that's more of a recovery network thing that they're going to create in the state. So $300 million for that, and then they have announced that in the last year, 16,000 people have gotten harm reduction services in the state because of this whole thing. And what big difference was created when this bill was passed and then enacted in February 1st, 2021, was that when people were caught with any drugs, they were given the choice whether to pay a fine or to call a hotline hotline service that will put them in touch with some kind of harm reduction service. So because of that, a lot of people went to the harm reduction side of things, because for a lot of people who are doing these drugs, $100 is a lot of money. A year later, 16,000 people have gotten that help. So looking at Oregon, it seems like this harm reduction or this drug decriminalization effort is doing pretty well. And I think that's kind of what everybody expected. So it's a nice way to end a Tuesday episode with some good news there. And that's all we have today. We'll be back later this week with some more stories. I'll see you then.